Now that you have written your introduction and first two body paragraphs, you will be going through a checklist to improve your first draft. Make sure you're on the back of today's handout and you follow along during each slide. You'll use this video, like I said, to improve your first draft. Pause the video at each slide you see here to evaluate your writing and complete the checklist. Do not rush through this. This will really help you improve your writing. Right now, I'd like you to label each part of your introduction paragraph. Identify the hook, the bridge, and thesis statement. Pause the video now. Now that you have labeled the hook, please make sure you can answer yes to this statement. I started with a hook that captures my audience's attention and introduces me to the audience. Make sure to consider introducing yourself to the reader, like it says here, and also use this as a time to really establish credibility and make a connection to with the audience. Why should they listen to you? What makes you an expert on this topic? Pause the video now to make any changes to your paragraph. For the introduction, number 2 says, I explain gender stereotypes in my bridge. Remember, your bridge is in between your hook and your thesis statement. It's where you provide background information about gender stereotypes so that your audience understands. Be sure that you can answer these questions. If you're focusing on men, you would focus on gender stereotypes that impact men. If you're focusing on women, you'd focus on gender stereotypes that impact women. Pause the video to make any changes now. The third thing you'll have to be able to answer is that you have a clear, arguable thesis statement that explains how gender stereotypes are problematic. If you are unsure about your thesis statement, please pause the video now and allow me to read it and check it. In order to do well in this essay, you must have a strong thesis. Pause the video to make any changes. Now we're moving on to the first body paragraph. Label each part of the first body paragraph. You may pause the video to complete this task. The first thing you need to be able to say yes to is that you began your body paragraph number 1 with a subclaim. You should ask yourself, does my subclaim actually tell the reader what to expect in the remainder of the paragraph? Pause the video, reread your subclaim, and make any changes. Number 2, in my context, I provide the audience with the necessary background information so they can understand my evidence. Ask yourself, if you had never read any of these sources from class, would you have enough background information to understand the evidence that follows? Pause the video and reread your context. Number 3, I provide clear evidence from my source. Ask yourself, if the evidence is a direct quote, is it surrounded by quotation marks? Do you have clear evidence in your first body paragraph? Pause the video to make sure your evidence is clear and relevant. The fourth thing I would like you to make sure you do, and we haven't gone over this in class, so it may be new, is that you need to introduce your evidence. Now, before any quotation or evidence, you must explain where it came from. Here are some quote introductions that you could incorporate into your writing. Pause the video now to make sure you have strong quote introductions. If you need help, raise your hand for Ms. Green's attention. The fifth thing you need to do is to have included parenthetical citations after your evidence. Parenthetical citations allow the audience to check your facts in case they have any remaining questions. Pause the video to make sure you've included parenthetical citations. Number 6 says, my commentary paraphrases the evidence. Now, to paraphrase is to just put the evidence in different words. This is the first purpose or part of commentary. It's to basically say the evidence in a different way to further the audience's understanding. Pause the video and make sure you've paraphrased your evidence right after the evidence. And the seventh and final statement for body paragraph 1 is that my commentary connects my evidence to gender stereotypes, my problem, and my audience. You really need to ask yourself, does my commentary reference gender stereotypes and my problem? And does my commentary connect this issue back to my audience? This is probably the area where ninth graders in general are struggling the most. So make sure you can answer yes to both of these questions. Pause the video. Now you're moving on to body paragraph 2. You're going to walk through the exact same process. So I will just flip through the slides, pause the slides to complete that statement and analyze your essay. Good luck. Pause the video to complete this task. Pause the video to complete this task. Pause the video. Now that you have finished the entire checklist, you may begin typing your first draft into Google Classroom. Go to Google Classroom to access the document.